Hi there. When Richard Wilson asked me to talk about my life, he said, Doc, I know you have a very interesting journey of your life. For a change, why don't you talk about how you got here, what made you uh, from a doctor to a businessman, and now creating a coach or a mentorship program originator trying to change the world. And I said, Richard, I can start from where I was born, when I was born, but by the time I get to the high school time, people will go to sleep. So let me do it some differently. So I do want to tell everybody about little bit about my life story, but I'm going to try and put it together with what lessons I learned from it and try to make it more interesting so none of you go to sleep on me. All right? So let's go to the next slide. Oh, there was slide one?
Oh, that's fine. I figured that'd be.
So that should be slide two. Sorry. So slide, are you recording?
Yeah, we're still on.
Okay, so slide one, nothing. What I just dictated was for slide two.
Now, slide 3 is that building
Yes,
cardiology?
correct.
Perfect.
So I was born in Mumbai, previously used to be called as Bombay, India. I was a valedictorian in my MD exam in the entire Bombay University with a gold medal in the subject of anatomy, and I was fully thrilled and wanted to make a difference, and that's why I came to United States. And my tremendous desire was to enrich the medical science. And all this ambition that I had created, I thought, this is the country where I can make that happen. I came here and with $10.45 in my pocket. And first I had to go look for a job. So I looked for a job, went to Mount Carmel Medical Center, which is associated with Ohio State University in Columbus, Ohio, had all my training there. And that all started in February 1983. Then by 1986, finished the residency. 1988, finished the cardiology program. And then I said, okay, what do I do now? I came here for medical research. And I went all over the country trying to figure out what was the best way to do a medical research that's meaningful to the world. And one thing I concluded, that medical research is vastly present and it does impact the world, but it also requires significant amount of wealth to be deployed to carry out any significant invention. So the thought came to my mind first, let me first get established and then we'll figure a way out how to create a contribution to the medical world that truly makes a difference in people's lives. So I started looking for practice. And guess what? Just like this slide says, when a thief was caught, and all of us have heard this story, so please bear with me if I bore you here. But when the thief was caught robbing a bank, the judge asked him that, I understand that you robbed a bank, so I'm going to punish you for all this bad thing that you did. But by the way, I want to understand, why would you rob a bank? And you know what the thief said? The thief said, sir, I'm not as educated as you are, not as sharp as you are, but I just thought I'll go where the money is. And you heard this story. And I'm a cardiologist trying to do balloons and stents in the people's heart. So where do I land? I said, okay, I'll go where the maximum heart disease is. And those days, it was primarily in Mississippi, Louisiana area, that heart disease was significantly rampant because of the lifestyle in southern United States, with definition of food at some places being it is not a food if it is not fried. And that's what made me go to a place very much not known to the rest of the world as well as New York or Miami, etc., called Gulfport, Mississippi. And that particular thought process worked out very well. Guess what? Within no time, we became very, very large cardiology practice. We had about 70,000 patients in our practice. And we were considered to be one of the largest in the entire United States for the number of doctors we had. We were in the 99th percentile in practice production of various tests, etc., for that size of the group in the entire country. So that would be the end of slide 3. So now we go to slide 4, and this will be for the slide 4. So at this point, I was very pleased. I came to this country, except my brother and my parents. I did not know many people, and now I have 70,000 patients in a town with a total population of about 100,000. That means I was getting referrals from surrounding town too. Very satisfied with the progress, but business was always in my blood. If you take my background, is called Gujarati. Gujarati is the western part of India, and one way or the other, practically every Gujarati is connected with business in their life at some point. So my parents literally lived with business, drank business, and talked business. And so it was no different for me to understand business and then think about doing business. And also as a cardiologist working 24/7, it was impossible to keep that tempo for rest of my life or anybody's life. And that's why you see doctors get tired, and they, at certain point in time, they just slowly, gradually taper off of what they're doing. And I didn't want to go through that process. So that's when I started getting into the commercial real estate. And that was in 1991. The first real estate venture alongside with my mentor, Dr. Madia, who is still my mentor today and still remains a very good friend of mine. He came to me and said, okay, now that you are doing well, I have this opportunity where we can invest some money. So, and I also want you to learn how to do real estate business. He was my mentor, so no question, I wrote the check, and guess what? The first project failed. This was in Florida. It was a Days Inn, and we invested as a mezz lender, and we stopped getting the money. And here we are. My first investment, and I'm out with no returns. But I have a very good mentor, and he really worked on this problem so well that he actually convinced the existing owner to ultimately turn over the property to us, and he flipped it to somebody else. Not only we got our money back, but we also got a good return on it. And when we first got the property, the first owner had taken the windows, the beds, the mattresses, the pillows. There was nothing in the entire hotel. And no time I thought we were going to get our investment back. But my mentor showed it to me that even in the most desperate situation, if you keep your calm and if you use your mind properly, you can make a lemonade out of a lemon. And it truly was a lemonade. And that gave me a lot of confidence. Then fast forward to 1993, and I said, okay, I think I understand hotel business. So the first hotel was Ramada Inn in Gulfport, Mississippi. And we made significant amount of returns in it. And in 1994, we sold it. We made several $100,000 profit in it. And I said, wow, this is not as difficult as cardiology. Anybody can do it. Let alone I knew that I was just being lucky with really very little infrastructure, just going out and doing it. So the first lesson I want to impart on people who are listening to this video is don't do this. Don't start something that you don't understand and you do not have proper infrastructure to support it. To build a building with no general contractor and take all this risk and get the bank loan and go out and put yourself thinking, oh, how can I fail, is a mistake. Always think you are an average individual and the other person is as smart as you are and knows as much as you do. And within that parameter, what can you do to be a successful businessman? And that's why I think this story is very important. I lucked out, we made money, it is a different discussion, but please, please, please do not enter into any venture till you truly have the absolute infrastructure that will support that. Fast forward, things continue to do well. In 94 to 97, developed a hotel portfolio with the same gung-ho mentality. Oh, king can do no wrong. I was building hotels in Florida. I was seeing patients in the hospitals. I had 100 patients in the hospital, and I was working 18 hours a day and taking multi-million-dollar decisions with on the fly. Again, second lesson to everybody, don't do this. If you want to enter into a business, either have the proper people or you should have enough time. You cannot make a decision whether to build a hotel someplace between the two heart patients that I'm doing surgery on, which is what I was doing. But again, God had something different for me, something that was destiny, that I continue to plow through this and all these assets continue to make money. And having said that, I don't want anybody to think that I didn't put enough work in it. Trust me, I made sure that even though I was seeing 100 patients, I would work on all these projects non-stop. I probably was sleeping 3 to 4 hours on an average, trying to make sure that everything becomes successful. When you come from a different country and you are here and there is no going back. When I came to this country, probably 200 people came at the airport to drop me off and to wish me well. How could I go back to this country and say, I'm a failure? You know, that was the strongest motivator for me to succeed. Failure was not something that is acceptable in the way I was brought up, in the way I ended up in this country. So next lesson is, unless you are willing to give everything that you have, and you are going to not take failure as an outcome, I think you should think twice before you venture into anything of the significant magnitude that is going to make a big difference in your day-to-day living or day-to-day what you are anticipating to happen. Well, the challenges continue to get bigger and bigger. Now, suddenly one fine morning, I was driving from my home to my office, which was in 1997, and I saw a sign on a blank piece of barren land and says, for sale. It was 100 acres. And here I am, a cardiologist, seeing patients maybe 12 to 14 hours a day, and suddenly I thought I can create a Disney World on that 100-acre land. And here I am that evening negotiating with the owner, and he looks at me and says, you are in your scrubs. I said, yeah, I just finished the surgery and I'm coming to buy this 100-acre land. So he says, how are you going to do all this stuff? I said, oh, I got a lot of resources. And he said, who? I said, I got my wife and I got an assistant, and I can make all of these things happen. But believe it or not, he actually believed in me, and he actually lended money to buy his own land. So next day morning, I didn't put $1 into it. I went to the bank and told the bank, against this collateral, give us some money. I gave it to the owner, and whatever the extra money that he wanted, he made a second lien for me. And here I am, owning 100 acres of land with no personal money in. Of course, I signed the personal guarantee for the loan, which is a different discussion someday. Another lesson, do not sign personal guarantees, because that is going to steal your sleep. Out of all these things, what I had going though, even though I'm saying all those things that one should not do, what I had going was a very thriving medical practice. On those days in 1988, I was clearing, after all expenses, roughly $1 million plus, which I had no use for. And that gave me all the confidence in the world. Even today, I'm telling you, I still go see patients. I go and see 1 day a month patients. Next lesson, never give up your daytime job. Whenever you want to do something else, it's okay. Don't give up your daytime job. I haven't given up today. If tomorrow, for whatever reason, if I have to figure out a different way of making money, I have a very active license. I'm still a doctor. I still have patients, and I still have a place where I can go, where I'm respected, and I can make things happen again. All these things gives you tremendous amount of confidence and backup that you make your success much more stronger probability-wise from happening. What it also does, it also gives a lot of confidence to the lender, a lot of confidence to the investors, because they know that you have other means of making a living. So just keep these things in mind. As I said, I want to make this interesting journey, not only from the dates and the time and what did I do and what did I not do, which is not much different than many people have done in this world, but the lessons that I did not follow, that I would like to bring it to your attention. Please follow those lessons. I will also talk about the lessons I followed, and I will also bring it to your attention that please follow those lessons. Like I just said, I worked very hard. Unless you are a true genius, which I know I am not, there is no other alternative than hard work. More than the hard work, you also need to have a smart work associated with it. When I first started my practice and I didn't have as much amount of money in my pocket, the motto was that I'm going to do everything that I can do to save every single dollar. I did the painting of the house. Actually, my wife did most of it. I did the landscaping. I did the grass cutting. I did my tax returns. I put the gas in my car. I did all of these things so that I didn't have to pay $1 to anybody else, and that's how my bank balance continued to go up. And as I grew with my net worth and cash in the bank, I have now evolved into a position where I always wake up and think, can this task be done by somebody else? And I'm here to let you know that in my life, I think I've eliminated almost 99% of the task that somebody else can do, which does not require me to do. Just take the example of this video. Nobody else could have done this video. That's why you are hearing me, that's why you are seeing me, and that's why I'm doing it. But if there was an alternate way of doing something, trust me, I will find an individual to do that. So again, one thing to always keep in mind is don't be penny wise and pound foolish. Don't be control freak. Don't try to do everything forever. If you remember what Oprah Winfrey told once, you cannot have it all and you cannot do it all. This is a very important statement. If you want to have it all, you cannot do it all. You need to select what you can do. So if you see the list of the things that you are supposed to do, just look at which is the most expensive item that somebody else you have to do. And just pick those items. And less expensive items, give it to somebody else to do it. Because if you do more expensive items, you're already saving the money. That is important. If 2 items is costing 80% of the total budget and the other 98 items is only costing 2%, give it to somebody. It's okay. Even if it messed up a little bit, it's not that big a deal. Just do it all over again with somebody else. So always give the work to somebody else if you can use your time in a better way with better rewards. Now that doesn't mean you just sit in front of the TV and take a 6-pack and just watch football of the team that is always losing the games. So keeping that humor aside, you know what I mean. Then comes 1997. So after this 100-acre land that I purchased and trying to build a Disney World over there, I had an individual who had a tremendous impact in my life, and his name is Mr. Patrick Barber. He showed up on my door, and just like everybody else, I told him that, listen, this is what I want to do. And like most people, he didn't laugh at me, but he was very excited about my passion. And that's another thing. The most important thing in whatever you do, have passion. I don't necessarily agree 100% when most people say, well, do what you like to do and it's never a job. Because I don't know anybody who has a job and he says, well, I really like to do this. I believe that whatever you like to do, when you associate with money, it becomes a stress and is no longer a fun most of the times. So I don't necessarily 100% agree with that theory, just pick the one that you like and spend your life on that. No, what I'm saying is whatever you've chosen, be passionate about it. And that passion should ooze out of you. If that passion goes to others, they will respect you. And they will do things that most of the times they will not do it for others because they respect your passion more than what you are saying. Next slide. So now we are on slide 5. So now Mr. Patrick Barber shows up in my life, and in his very artistic way or soothing way, he tells me that I love the way you see the future. I love the way you have the vision. I didn't realize it was needing that much water.
Yeah.
Wow. That's the ice machine.
As I say, I've been drinking a lot of coffee today, huh?
No, that's the ice machine.
That's ice machine. Are you picking that up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure she's picking that up. There you go. So this is slide number 5. So here comes Patrick Barber in my life. And he again was convinced because of my passion. He also was convinced because I had a significant amount of cash that was coming up every month that I can take risk with. He saw and explained to me the difference between realism and just being a visionary. He said, Doc, you're doing all this great vision. You're thinking all these huge dreams. And it's good to be dreaming about something. But let us start slow. Let us first make sure that this 100-acre land that we have purchased, we create a profitable venture out of it first. Because you try to create Disney, do you remember or do you know that the person who truly envisioned Disney never really made it, or by the time he made it, it was way beyond his lifestyle, life was over. So you certainly don't want to be in those shoes. So let us start with something proper that can be rewarded. And that's when I started learning the real estate development. So that was 1997, and we continued to develop that. And now we are in 2020. Most of the stuff has been developed, that 100 acres. I still own about 2 acres or so still left, because we have really enjoyed that 100-acre land because our basis was very low. So my next lesson is, how do you make money in business? The way you make money in business, especially in real estate, is what price did you buy, what price did you sell, and how did you operate? And this could be 33%, 33%, 33%, it could be anything. But let me tell you, if you mess up at the price you entered, there is more likely than not that you will lose money or make very little money on that particular deal. So lesson number 1, buy right. Don't try to fight with time. Most people say, I must buy something in the next 60 days. Wrong. When you try to put time against destiny, it never works. You should always say, I will wait as long as I need to wait, but I'll buy it at the right price. That 100-acre land, as we discussed, was bought at the right price. We could ride on it from 1997 to 2020, developed into hundreds of millions of dollars worth of development, made tens and tens of millions of dollars of profit, and we still have some land left. Again, buy right. If buying right doesn't work, it will not work. Your project must make sense on the paper. If it doesn't make sense on the paper, don't do it. And almost every mother loves the child, however ugly it is, right? So if you write a business plan, you're going to like it because you wrote the business plan. So I'm not saying you should like that business plan. Somebody who understands that business must say that that is a good business plan. So my recommendation again is, if you are going to venture into something big, then please, please, please buy right, create a business plan, and have somebody who understands the business, vet it, and give the blessing. And again, that reduces the potential of having a negative outcome by a significant margin. Listen, nobody knows destiny, nobody knows the future, and even the best laid out plans can go sour. I always look at one thing in my life. I've had negative outcomes, I have negative businesses. I only look at one thing. With the information that I had when I made the decision, would I make a different decision today if I was in the same situation today? And honestly, as long as I think I would not make a different decision, I'm not afraid of the failures. That's okay to fail because I followed the process right. And guess what? If you follow the process right, over a period of time, some of your projects will work. And some of the projects which work will take over the losses that you had on the projects which did not work. So then 2007. So 2007, in the meantime, we had Katrina, we lost the whole house. I had about 20,000 square feet home on the ocean. When we went back after the Katrina, my wife and I, Smita and I were walking, and few streets away we found our television. And Smita would look at it and say, oh, that's our television. A couple of streets down, I found my dad's picture. And when we came to the house, it was barely a slab. And even to make it funnier, it's funny now, but we had actually stayed in the town because we had so many businesses there. And because there was no communication, people thought since my house was gutted down to slab, I was dead. So actually, I heard my eulogy on the radio, and suddenly people were saying what a good doctor I was. Let me tell you, it was very interesting to hear that after I'm gone, at least there are a few people who are going to say I was a good doctor. Long story short, it was a funny part. We recovered from it, and we continued to develop at that time. 1997, Angkor was formed. 2007, we had an exit because the economy was great, and we sold most of our stuff at mid 9-figure number. That's when we truly saw the first liquidity, and that liquidity again helped Angkor catapultize to the next level. So as of today, our track record is about $2.7 billion in total transactions that we have done, 100 plus completed transactions over the 20 years, 54% gross internal rate of return over 80 realized investments. And I know it is hard to believe, but let me tell you, that is audited numbers from the reputable audited company. We are very proud of our processes, and we are very proud of the results we have produced for ourselves and our investors. And when you put it on MOIC, it's about 2.4 times the gross investments. So it has been a good journey. It has been a great journey. A lesson to learn here is very simple. We kept our head down. We had adversities. We fought against the adversity. We had a good team. The team always did a fantastic job. And we always hired people first for attitude, second for performance. I strongly believe that you cannot teach people attitude, but I do believe that you can teach people craft. You can teach people how to perform better. But either they are team member, either they have a good attitude, or they don't. So another lesson to learn here, create a team that will stick with you at bad times and good times. And remember, this does not necessarily mean you have to pay the most money to the team. What it does, if you just take the history, 66% of the people who actually quit their jobs is not because they were paid less. They quit the job because they could not communicate with the supervisors. The supervisors could not communicate the vision of the company, and at some point that communication became so bad that the employee thought it was better off go wherever but not here. And that's why please learn that lesson. Have a team that you can count on, or don't take unnecessary risk. Next slide. Slide number 6. So this slide again says the same thing that I've been talking. Number one lesson, if you are talking about changing the career, if you are talking about doing something different, which most of us do, and there's nothing wrong with it, but please do not quit your daytime job till the other job replaces the income that you were making from the first job. And if you want to go to other extreme, this real estate business, the private equity business that I'm in produces a lot more income than my cardiology business, and I still have not quit cardiology just for the comfort. Besides, it's giving me a lot of pleasure to take care of patients. It also is a safety net that I can count on. So please listen to me. Don't think about the future that is going to happen but hasn't happened and give up your presence. The presence is reality. Future is a dream, which may happen, may not happen. You can't destroy your presence for a possible dream. Next is slide 7. This is, again, we discussed thoroughly throughout this process. There is no substitute for hard work, unless you are a genius. Now, if you are a genius, you don't need to work hard. Whatever you do is going to work. But I don't know about you, but I know I'm not a genius. I always have told people, I'm an average or slightly above average cardiologist. I'm an average or slightly above average investor, but what I make up, where I excel when the results come out, is sheer hard work. Sheer hard work. There is no substitute for hard work. Don't listen to anybody who tells you anything different. You must put in your hard work to have success. We all have heard, right? For any business to be successful, any art for you to master, you must put 10,000 hours in that particular segment. And I think it is absolutely true. Now, we can also talk about being street savvy, street smart, street aware, smart work, all of those things. But none of those things will work unless it's associated with hard work. Slide number 8. I cannot emphasize enough this particular lesson that I learned, and I really would like to convey this message to all the budding business entrepreneurs. 85% of the businesses go under is not because they weren't good businesses. That weren't because they would not have been successful. They go under because while they were getting into the momentum of being profitable, they ran out of capital. Just think about it. Large majority of businesses would have been successful if they had a proper sized capital. Liquidity, we always have been talking about it, right? Cash is the king. You must have liquidity before you embark on any life-changing mission of yours. If you don't have liquidity, please don't embark on any businesses and find that you put your home on mortgage, you sold your watch, you took your wife's jewelry and took the money against it at the pawn shop and started a business only to find out that all is gone. Dream is way different than reality. Find the right partners. Find the right way of creating liquidity. Have somebody bless that business plan that says, whatever issues that can happen in this business, I have enough money that I can stay in business even these adverse times. And I don't want you to be deciding that. I want an expert in that business to sign there and say, I approve this business plan. This business has enough liquidity, enough cash to go through the plan as designed and more. So please, 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 liquidity is very, very important for increasing the chances of success. Slide number 9. There is a strategy or PowerPoint or a test or a puzzle that I've developed. I believe that every individual is not designed to be an entrepreneur because we come with certain genes and we come with certain environment and we come with certain mutation of the genes, and that creates our personality. And not everybody wants to be Elon Musk, cannot be Elon Musk. So how do people fit? I personally believe that they fit in the following categories. Either you are a laborer, that means a service industry, and you just work by hour or by job. Or you are sophisticated service provider. And that's where I put people like me, doctors, architects, lawyers, people who have to go through a significant amount of training and start making an earning or a living. So that's the second group of people who are specialized skill set, for a lack of better terms, still a laborer, who are still selling their time. The third group of people are the people who understand and know how to manage people. Who are this group of people? These are managers. But they don't have the intrinsic spirit to become an entrepreneur. They cannot embark on an idea of borrowing. They cannot have an idea of taking any risk. So they want to parlay the risk to somebody else, but they know everything else to do about the business. They're the managers. Then comes the entrepreneurs. An entrepreneur is the one who knows how to manage people, but at the same time, he has an ability to take risk. So you will fall into one of these four categories at any given time. And it's not that these categories are defined for life. It is good for that particular moment. And I have a puzzle for that. I have a test that people can take. And I think if you send us an email, which I'm sure will be provided during this presentation, we'll be glad to send you the test that you can take. I come from a business community. Business is in my blood. Risk-taking is like eating peanuts. I was born with risk-taking ability from my parents, especially my dad. My dad left his town and went to Africa to make a living. He was the first guy who left the entire town ever to go to a different country. Think about the risk he took. So risk was very intricately involved in my growth. And it doesn't bother me to take risk. And that is an essential element of being an entrepreneur. So let us first figure out, can you truly be an entrepreneur today? Or do you have to develop some skill set to get there? And that's where this puzzle would be very helpful, I believe. Last slide, 10 of 10.
Do you want to say the headline for me real quick? The be true to who you are for the previous slide?
Be true to who you are. Please, please learn to be true to who you are. Do not try to be somebody else who you are not. Just because Richard, who is now taking the video of mine, I should think I should replace Richard, because that's not my skill set. I can only talk. I cannot take as good a video as he does. But I understand that. And that's all I want people to understand. Be who you are.
Beautiful. All right, slide 10.
Slide 10. I kept this slide purposely as the last slide. And it says, integrity and sincerity should motivate every decision. Ladies and gentlemen, I cannot tell you how many mistakes I have made throughout my career. I truly did not have one single mentor for everything. I had lots of mentors and I started learning from them. But to put everything in under one bow was my job. And I didn't know how to do it. I don't think even today I know how to do it. And I've made enough mistakes. I always, when I go to meet my associates or I'm in a large room of people, I always say, guys, I have made more mistakes than everybody's mistakes combined in this room. But then people ask, then how are you, quote unquote, successful? I don't think I'm that successful, but I've done well. And I'm pretty happy where I am in the phase of my life. Then what caused it? I have one answer. I think throughout this process, I have never compromised my integrity. And I've never compromised my sincerity to the cause for which I was praying for. Many a times, things didn't make sense. But people just gave me an opportunity because they saw the passion, they saw the integrity, and they saw the sincerity. And I will end this discussion today with a little bit of a story because I'm generally a story man. So this is 1983-84. I have just come to this country. I speak the classic Indian English, which is very hard to even understand in this country. and I'm looking for a job. I'm a gold medalist doctor from India, and there is no job available in Columbus, Ohio. The match was over, and there is no way I could have gotten a job. So my brother who brought me here, Suresh, he talked to a bunch of people. He said, hey, my brother is here, sitting here. I need to get him out of my home. I need to find him a job. Can you help him? And through friend of friend, he said, the match is over, but I talked to the program director, Dr. Finney, in Columbus, Ohio, Mount Carmel, and he said, I don't think I can do anything for this guy, but since you're telling me so much about him and just to keep you happy, I'll meet him. I can't meet him in my office, I'll just meet him in a library so he doesn't have any expectations. And I did not know what to make out of that. I said, hell, I'm sitting at home. Might as well take this chance. Ladies and gentlemen, I went there. I met with Dr. Finney and I showed him my gold medal. I showed him the pictures where I climbed the Himalayas, and I talked for about 10 minutes of everything that I achieved in life except medicine. So at the end of 10 minutes, he says, well, I only got 3 more minutes left because I told you 15 minutes because he spent a couple of minutes before I started. Let me tell you, son, whatever you said, I haven't understood one word of what you said. And I'm looking at myself and I said, oh my God, now I'm in deep trouble. But you know what he said? He said, but I am impressed with your passion and I'm impressed with your zeal to be successful. I'll find a job for you. And ladies and gentlemen, that was my first job where nobody could understand me, and I just got it because of a sheer passion, integrity, demonstration, and the fierceness of wanting to be successful. Thank you very much for listening to me today. I hope I didn't keep the story too boring, and hopefully I also, during this entire passage, dropped a few droplets that you can drink and quench your thirst a little bit.